I have been speaking about steps to protecting your money and securing your financial future. The first point I made was that when you are starting life as a young person that is transitioning into work, from training, from school, or whatever, first avoid acquiring income leaking assets such as private cars, such as renting an accommodation that is more than what your income can sustainably finance, such as attending expensive shows, expensive concerts that will not bring anything significant, that will not add any value in terms of your capacity to earn income now or in the future. Then two, track your spending, know where your money is going. And if your income is going to areas where you will not be able to get anything in terms of returns, as much as possible, try to cut. Three, keep your standard of living below what your earnings can accommodate. So if you are earning 2,000, live your life as if you are earning, let's say 1,500, such that you can free the remaining 500 for capital investment or long-term investments towards securing your financial future. If you are earning 3,000, live your life as if you are earning 2,000. If you are earning 4,000, live your life as if you are earning 3,000. If you are earning 5,000, live your life as if you are earning 3,000, so that as much as possible, you can make provision for investments towards your future. I was on point 4, avoid borrowing to finance consumption or a lifestyle that your income level cannot sustain. If your income is such that you cannot drive a private car, please do not worry yourself. There's time for everything. It will get to a point where you can buy that private car, buy fuel, pay for maintenance, and still live a financially free life. So please wait, postpone gratification. Do not borrow to finance private car or any consumption expenditure. 5, set short-term goal. Break your long-term financial goals into short-term goals that you can see yourself achieving. So, for instance, when I started national service, my goal was to save 1,000 Ghana cedis. At the time, I had not seen 1,000 Ghana cedis in bulk. So my target was to save 1,000 Ghana cedis. When I achieved that, I was so happy. And then I set for myself another target to save 2,000 Ghana cedis. When I was able to achieve 2,000 Ghana cedis in bulk as personal money, I was so happy. And so I set for myself 5,000. When I achieved that, I was so happy. So at the point, I set for myself 10,000. When I got a 10,000, I was so happy. And as I speak with you now, my target is to save my 100,000 in bulk. As I speak with you now, I have not seen 100,000 in bulk as cash, right? I have access in excess of that. But when it comes to cash, 10,000, I have not seen that before. That is my target now. If you have such short-term targets, it helps you to take steps towards achieving that. And the excitement from achieving it makes you more excited to set another goal that is achievable. Break your long-term goals into short-term achievable goals. And when you have achieved your short-term goals, make sure that translates into your long-term goal as part of your financial plan. So you break your long-term goals into medium goals, into short-term goals. So now my long-term goal, I have my house now by grace, no matter how little it is or how small it is. My next goal is to build for rent, right? So if I make my next 100,000, I'll probably acquire land or lands towards my goal of building estates for rent. If I make my next 500,000, that go into putting up the buildings for rent. If I make the next, so you always know exactly what you are using money for. Don't save without having any goal, right? If you do that, the tendency is that you save, achieve your targets, but how you use the money or what you use the money for might not inure to your long-term interest in terms of securing that long-term financial plan. So have set short-term goals that are achievable, that are realistic, and take steps towards achieving them. 6, seek to become financially literate. It is very important. Most of us are literate, we are educated, we are sociologists, we are economists, we are bankers, we are accountants, but when it comes to finances, we are illiterate. And so we take very poor financial decisions. And so we don't even know how to manage money. We don't even know the time value of money. We do not know that if I have 1 Ghana cedi today and I hold it instead of investing it, tomorrow inflation eats away the real value of the money. In 2022, from January to December, inflation rate was 54%. What that meant was that if I had 100 Ghana cedis at the beginning of January 2022, and I kept it in my pocket, or I kept it in cash, by the time we got to December, you would have to add 54 Ghana cedis to buy the same thing that you could have bought with the 100 Ghana cedis at the start of 2022. And so it is important that when you have money or when you save, you invest the money so that at least you'll be guaranteed the return that will push you against inflation. So even if you're going to put it in a financial asset, let's say you put it in a T-bill. T-bill rate as at 2022 was in excess of 30%, around 35%. It even got to 40% at the point. So what that means is that instead of losing 54%, you'll probably lose only 14%, right? That is the inflation rate minus the return on your assets. If you can, you can acquire assets that you can easily dispose of. So like I told you, for me, in the short term, at the end of the month, whatever money I get, I take away what I need to keep the family. What I think is surplus, I buy detergents, I buy soaps, I buy things that I can easily sell and keep in my house. Because in a period of inflation, you don't hold money. The value of money falls by the day. As prices are rising, the value of whichever money you are holding keeps falling. And so since then, I have not been keeping money. Whatever excess cash I have, I buy soaps, I buy detergents and keep. Whenever I need money, I just take it, go and sell it to one of the stores around my area. And then I make money. Just this evening, before I came to join this program, I went to sell 2 cartons of soap. Then I made my profit 60 Ghana. At least that money can do something for me, right? So do not keep cash on you when you don't need it. Seek financial knowledge. Make sure you know assets that matches your investment objective, and always make sure you invest depending on or in line with your investment objectives. Take calculated risk. Take calculated risk. Risk is a tendency that you may lose a part or all of your investment. And I mean, life itself is risk. The fact that you go to work and come every day, there's a certain amount of risk, right? But you trust the good Lord that He will always carry you on His shoulders to and from work. And so if you want to secure your financial future, it gets to a point in your life where you have to take risk. Even buying bonds, those who bought bonds, the domestic debt exchange program affected them. That is risk. But that doesn't mean you not invest again. Next time, you take another calculated risk. So take risk. Buy land where possible. For some of us, we are shying away from buying land because our friends told us that he or she bought land and it was taken away by land gas. No, do all the background checks before you buy land. Don't buy land the way you buy pussy on the wayside. No. Before you buy land, go to the Lands Commission. Check to see that the person who is selling the land to you has his name registered on the land at Lands Commission before you part money. That is how you buy land, right? So that's the calculated risk we are talking about. So if you go in buying land without doing those checks, that is not calculated risk. That will be, say, a foolish move. Take calculated risk. And part of it is buying land. Take a new job for less pay, but more potential for growth. Sometimes you get into a work environment, you realize that even though you are earning quite significantly, there is no future at that particular place. There is no potential for growth. There is no potential for vertical progression. What do? You need to take calculated risk and probably take another job which has low salary, but probably has more potential for growth. sometimes you may want to move to a new city. So if you have been in Kumasi, I was in Kumasi and decided to move to Accra because I thought that there are more opportunities in Accra. But I have some friends who are stuck in Kumasi because their family is in Kumasi, because they will get somewhere to stay free in Kumasi. Sometimes you need to take calculated risk. Move to a new city where you think there is more opportunities, where you can get more opportunities for yourself. Invest in high risk, high return stocks. Usually investment, we say the higher the risk, the higher the expected return. When you are starting life, you have more time. You have a lot of time ahead of you. So you should not be looking out for stocks that are returning dividends. Look out for stocks that can increase in terms of price appreciation, such that in the future you can sell for price gains or capital gains, right? Invest in high risk, high return stocks, high growth stocks. That is also a calculated risk that you can take. Even in marriage, you need to take a calculated risk, right? You don't just marry somebody because you are in love. No. Look out for how compatible you are with the person. Does the person believe in your vision? Does the person support the direction you are going with your life? All these are some of the calculated risks that you need to take in life. Because no matter how financially secure you are, if you don't get the right person on board, I mean, the financial attitude of your wife or your husband can also bring you back financially. So be very careful at the point where you need to join hands with somebody in a matrimonial way. It is also very important in terms of securing your future, because I know people who, through their partners, have become financially secure, or whose process to financial security has been quickened because of the kind of partner that they brought on board. Be very careful in that area to take calculated risks when it comes to marriage, where you see the warning signs, when the person is always asking that you take him or her to Kimpiski, you take her to La Palm Royal Beach Hotel for dinner, you take her to this and that, and it's never talking about investment, never encouraging you to buy land, never encouraging you to start a business, never encouraging you to spend more time in your business. Please run away. That is a warning sign. Do not get into such kind of relationships. It may set you back instead of you making progress in life. Eight, invest in yourself. Find avenues to increase your value by continually upgrading your skills and knowledge, by making smart career choices. So if you have first degree, no matter how good the job you have, seek avenues to enhance your capacity. Seek avenue for more training. If you're an accountant, seek for professional certificates. Go for masters. Go for an MBA. If you have an MBA, you can still try to upgrade yourself, get new certifications that are coming up. If you are in academia like myself, go for your PhD. Upgrade yourself in line with modern trends, such that you can fit in the system no matter what happens in the area of knowledge. It is very, very important. Also, take volunteering opportunities. If you have public speaking avenues at your church, take it. It is very important. You cannot be a manager or a director in corporate, in modern corporate environment when you cannot speak in public. It is very important. You'll be chairing meetings, and if you cannot speak when you have 20 people gathered, what kind of corporate executive would you be? Take avenues. It might not be a paying avenue, but take it, right? I can tell you that the opportunity to speak at the seminars of Young Investors Network has helped me so much. Now I can speak when it comes to finance or financial literacy. I can speak for hours without looking at a PowerPoint or any presentation, because of the experience I've had with the Young Investors Network. As I started speaking on DTV and all that, some of these things that I've been doing have helped me so much, build my capacity and confidence, such that if I'm here today and I'm called by any TV station, any radio station, I can speak to issues, even when I have not prepared, because I have had a certain kind of training. Opportunities presented by the Young Investors Network, opportunities at church to talk in public, I have taken them. Whilst in school, I took such opportunities, and those things have helped to prepare me for my current situation where I speak in public most times. It is very important. Take opportunities to develop yourself. It could be volunteering opportunities that do not pay, but please take it and prepare yourself. It might pay somewhere in the future. My last point, that is the 9th point, find the right balance in life. You would not want to save everything you earn and deny yourself so much of your basic needs, not eating well, such that you fall sick, you suffer from malnutrition. No, find the right balance between savings and then spending on your needs. Know how much you need to meet your basic needs of food, clothing, and a decent shelter. And then, depending on your income level, you set aside something towards your future. When it comes to work and life, do not work. Do not commit all your hours into work. Have time for leisure. Have time for your family. That is also very important. Life is not all about money. No matter how much money you make, if you do not have time for your family, your wife, your children, that may also have social implications, and that may also disturb you later in your life. And so find that balance between work, leisure, and then your family. Take vacations where necessary to relax the mind, to reset the mind, so that you can renew your energy to be able to work at your job or in business. But make sure that if you are taking vacations, it is sustainable vacation. It is vacation you are taking from savings or returns from assets which you have built over the years, so that your vacations will not take you back financially. I think I will end here at this point and take questions, if any.
Hello, Dr. Paul.
Yeah, Jessica, can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Thank you very much for your presentation. It has really been insightful. You mentioned a particular point that is we keeping our standard of living below our earnings. And I noticed that a lot of young people believe that once they hustle, there's a term called hustling, and they believe that once they hustle, they must enjoy soft life. Yes, I'm sure a
Yeah.
lot of people know what I'm talking about. So they believe that once they hustle, they must obviously enjoy that soft life. So they don't
Yeah.
understand how come you tell them that live below your earnings. Like even if you said live maybe within the earnings, you understand, but below, most people won't really understand. They won't really buy into that idea. What do you think we can do to change this narrative? Because it has been in existence for a while. So how do you think we can change it?
I think it all boils down to having a clear financial goal and knowing that in life sometimes the unexpected happens. And when the unexpected happens, your intentional planning is what will sustain you. So, for instance, we had people who were working in the banking sector prior to 2017, 2018, when the banking crisis led to a lot of job losses. Some of those people never anticipated that it might get to a point where they will lose their job. And so they took loans because they had access to soft loans and bought expensive cars. They took loans and rented 3-bedroom apartments at Dansoma, North Kaneshie, Jolu, and all the areas you can talk about. All of a sudden, one day, there was a banking crisis and they lost their jobs. So they had to move from 3-bedroom self-contained at North Kaneshie. Some had to move to their villages. Some had to take to Uber driving. And so quickly they had to adjust and move into a single bedroom self-contained. I know one person who died. There was a lady I took some time ago. I gave lift to. And she told me that her husband died because he had taken loans and he was sacked all of a sudden. So out of overthinking, he was driving one day and was involved in an accident, all because he did not plan for the unexpected, which happened suddenly. And so for me, what I do when things are going well, when I'm earning, is to try and cut my expenses. So in my home, even though I can say average monthly earning is 7,000. I try as much as possible that we live on less than 3,000 because I have a lot of external family commitments. I support a lot of people outside my home. So what I do is to cut part of the monies I would have spent on myself so I can support more people. Then I also have friends who I support once a while. And so if I'm earning 7,000, I spend 3,000 on my immediate family. let's say I save 1,000 to spend on my extended family. I can spend 500 Ghana cedis on people at church and other places. So at least I can still save not less than 2,500 towards my future. And so even though I do not have a permanent job now, I do not have a job that earns me a monthly income as at now, but I bought an additional land to start building for my family because of the way I live my life. Maybe that is a personal something I do, but I think it's something that all young people can do. Know the kind of life you want for yourself in the next 10 years, in the next 20 years, in the next 5 years, so that whatever amount you are earning, as much as possible, try to live below it. So like I told you, under normal circumstance, somebody in my status would want to be driving whenever you are moving in town because I speak on television, people know me, right? But sometimes I choose to sit in trotro just to enjoy the trotro atmosphere. And by doing that, it tells me to cut certain expenses so that I live below my standard. And by living below my standard, I'm able to save more. So even if I lose my job, I signed a contract in April last year, and it was supposed to be a 1-year project on the Ghana Job and Skills project, the Youth Start program. It happened that after 3 months, it ceased. We have never been to the field after September 2023. But by grace, I have never lacked because of the way I live my life. Because within the 3 months, the money I made, I saved. And that savings I made can last for 1 year, even if I'm not earning any income. And by grace, I get something from other sources. So if you live your life that way, when the unexpected happens, there is no way you'll be in a financial stressful situation. I hope I've answered your question.
Yes, please. You also mentioned that we should avoid borrowing to finance consumption. Even if we borrow, we have to spend it on assets that we have to spend it on asset generating income. And I wanted to know, what if the expected returns fail? Is there an incident like that where maybe you were expecting returns, which was obviously higher than the interest rates, but it fails? And in that case, what do you do? And can you also give us examples of those assets generating income that we can get?
Okay, as a personal policy, I never borrow. I always try to avoid borrowing. And that is how come I try to stay ahead of time. So at any point in time, any investment I want to make, everything is coming from myself. Or even where I have to borrow is a soft loan from family and friends. I don't borrow, especially monies that come with interest. No, I never borrow from the bank. That is a personal policy. Even from family, I hardly borrow. That is my personal policy because I think that if you live your life in a certain way, it is possible that whatever capital you need to invest, you can intentionally raise it at any point in time. So personally, I avoid borrowing. Where you borrow and the unexpected happens and the returns are not as anticipated. If you are that kind of person that plan your life, you must always have that personal insurance. You must always have buffers which you can fall on to be able to defray the debt. So let's say I decided to borrow to invest in a business and something happened. At least I should be able to fall on one of my 2 cars to be able to defray the debt. And that is because over the past, I've been able to accumulate a certain basis, a certain foundation. And so there is no way the demands of a debt will be more than my asset base. That is how it should be. Because even as a business, when you are going to borrow, there is a collateral. And the value of the loan must equate or must be equal to your asset base or the collateral you are using, or the collateral must be more valuable than the loan. So do not go for a loan whose value, that is the capital plus interest, is more than your base or your foundation as an individual. If you do that, you might be in trouble. You might end up in prison. Never take a loan that you cannot service. Do not live your life like Ghana, right? Such that you have to fall on IMF to come in and give you conditions. Do you get the point I'm trying to make here?
Yes,
because
please.
the Bible says the debtor is always a slave to the creditor. I always try to avoid falling in debt so that I don't become a slave to somebody. Somebody will not give me conditions. But where you must borrow, make sure that the amount you are taking is not more than your asset base, such that in an unexpected situation, you can fall on your asset base to defray the debt.
Yes, please. And
Exactly.
also, I want to let all of us know that we can actually ask questions. Okay, so after my last question, I'll open the floor for all of us to ask questions. I'm sure you have a question, so kindly note it down, and our speaker will be here to address that. You shared with us your journey. I mean, when you were setting your personal targets, saving the 1,000 Ghana cedis, 2,000, 3,000. I want to know, how was it like for you? Is it that it was just based on personal determination, or you had accountability partners who were checking on you during that time? What kept you going?
For me, I think it's my personal goals and motivation that kept me going. That has been my life. I do not like financial stress, and so at any point in time, I try to be self-reliant, and I don't ask. I don't ask people, no matter the situation I go into. Right? I have siblings who are doing very well, but I never ask. So it may get to a point where I don't even have one Ghana. I remember when I was doing my masters, got to a point it was very difficult, but I never ask. I always trust God, and God always comes through for me. That is my faith. I don't ask, and that motivates me to be able to at least save for the lean season, such that at any point in time I can be self-reliant without having to be going asking people for support and all that.
Yes, please. Thank you very much. So at this point, would want to open the floor for questions. If you have any question, kindly raise your hand. If your background is noisy, you can kindly type in the comment section. I'll read it out for you. All right. So we have a hand up by Zerubbabel. Let's hear you, please.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Paul, for this insightful presentation. Okay, so one of my friends was engaged in like buying of lands of late. Actually told him like lands actually appreciate in value over time. But he hasn't actually gone to the lands commission to find out whatever the background. How how is he going to do it? Does he also has to go there and say, I want to search for this landlord's name? How do you go by it?
Please, it's difficult to hear you. Jessica, if you heard him, can you repeat the question for me?
So I think he was asking you. You said in your presentation that before we buy any land, we're supposed to confirm from the Land Commission who owns the land,
Yeah.
like those proceedings. Yes, and he's asking. I think he wants to know how they go about it exactly. I think
Oh, okay.
Zerubbabel,
So,
that's what you were saying, right?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
All
okay,
right, thank you.
Zerubbabel. So what you do is to get the site plan from whoever is selling the land to you. Get a site plan, take it to the Lands Commission, and tell them you want to do search. Search means you want to verify if the land is registered in the name of the one that wants to sell to you, right? So once you realize that the land is not in the name of the person that wants to sell to you, please run away. The person might sell it to you. The next day, the real owner of the land will come, will show up. And because that person's name is probably the one registered at Lands Commission, he holds the title to the land. And so when it goes to court, there is no way you have a stand, even though you might have paid money. My brother wanted me to buy land for him quite recently. I went to a place around in Sanwem, 4 plots of land. I met the person with the scars and everything. I asked him for the site plans where I go and do search. Then he told me that if I go to Lands Commission, I will not find the name of the person who is selling the land to me because so and so happened in the past. I said, my friend, I'm not buying that land. So I stopped following up on that land. So like I told you, don't buy land as if you are buying cocoa by the wayside. It never works that way. That is a capital intensive investment. So make sure before you part money, it can even take up to 3 months. I remember the first land I bought. We went to Kufuridua. The area where I stay is under Eastern Region. We went to Kufuridua to do checks to make sure that the land is registered in the name of the person that was selling it to us before we bought it. And by grace, we have never had any issues since we bought it. So please always ask for the site plan, go to the Lands Commission to do your checks before you pay money.
Thank you very much, Zerubbabel. I'm sure you are sorted out now. Amos, let's hear you, please.
Um, Thank you, sir, for your presentation. My question is, please, how do we invest in government securities such as the B bill, the T bill, Treasury bill? because
T-bill. Okay.
some of us, we are not too good about where you have to go and buy it or where you have to invest in it, and even the rates associated with it. If you search on Google, the answers you are getting are not too clear. So I want you to
Oh,
educate
okay.
me that more.
Okay. You can buy T-bill from any of the institutions that retail the bills on behalf of the central bank. So the central bank issues the bills on behalf of the government. The commercial banks and finance houses, they buy in bulk and retail to the public. So from any of the 23 commercial banks, you can buy T-bill. When you get there, just tell them you want to buy T-bill. So they will open an investment account for you. They'll probably ask for your Ghana card, 2 size passport pictures, and then I think a bill, a utility bill or something. Just as you open a bank account, and then they will open it for you. At the point of opening the account, they will tell you the rates. Usually the T-bill rates, I think it's normally in the news. If you follow investment news, they talk about the T-bill rates. It changes with time. With every auction, the rates might change depending on how much the government wants to borrow. So usually if the government wants to borrow more in the economy, we say the public sector borrowing requirement is high, then government has to raise the rate to attract more people to buy the bills. But if how much government borrows is low, then the rate comes down. That is how it works. I think as at now, the rate is a little above 20%. And so when you go to the bank, they will give you information about the interest rate on the 91-day bill, on the 182-day bill, and then also on the 1-year note. Walk to any bank and find out.
Thank you, sir. Please, are you supposed to have a bank account before you can buy the bill, or you can go ahead?
No. An investment account for you. You don't need to have an account with that particular bank. Just tell them you want to buy TV. They will open an investment account for you. You can also go to Data Bank, EcoBank EDC, and all the investment houses. They will also open an investment account for you and buy it for you.
Amos, are you fine now, please?
Yes, please, madam.
You can get in touch with me if you need any further advice concerning the bills.
Sir, please, do you from Presec?
Okay.
Last year, 2022.
Oh, okay. We met at Legon Presec, right?
Yes, please. This is Amos, the Appiah-Konadu.
Oh, I see. Are you in university now?
Yes, please. I'm in KU.
Oh, that is beautiful. I also went to KU University. That is nice. When I come to campus, I'll be in touch. So you can get my number from Jessica.
Thank you. But I don't have Jessica's number as well.
Okay, Amos, I'm going to leave my contact in the comment section so you can text me. Okay, then I'll send it to you.
Okay.
Yeah, and aside that, so last month we treated T-bills. So I'm going to send you the link to the YouTube video so you can watch it and have more information on that.
Okay,
Thank you.
Jessica.
Please, do we have any more questions for Dr. Paul?
Yeah, I think I have one more question.
Okay, let's hear you, please.
Yeah, okay. There's this businessman in Shepherd Delhi. But looking at the trend, like the global trend, e-vehicle, as the electric vehicle, do you think it's advisable for the person to start investing in, like the spare parts, buy the spare parts of e-vehicles, awaiting maybe when it comes to Ghana or Africa?
Please, could you come again with your question?
Did you get him?
I didn't get you too well.
Yeah,
please, could you come again?
Yeah, I was saying there's this man with spare part dealing, cars, spare parts.
Okay.
But looking at the trend, global trend, that e-vehicles gradually perhaps taking over. But I think it's not yet some part in Africa. You think it's actually quite a good investment to buy those spare parts, awaiting?
Okay, so if I get you, is it a good investment to invest in the spare parts of electric vehicles?
Yes, please.
Ahead of the expected increase in the market for such cars. Okay, I think in Africa, electric vehicles are relatively expensive compared to the fossil fuel-based cars that we have in the system now. So in Europe and other places, what the government is doing is to start with public vehicles like public buses. Yeah, so when you go to Europe, most of the buses are powered with electricity or electric vehicles. Then government is also providing incentives for people that want to buy them because it is expensive. In the case of Ghana, looking at our income level now, and even now with the duty, even with the fossil forecast, a 1.2 engine car, now you have to buy it for not less than 70,000 Ghana cedis. So I do not see the market for electric vehicles gaining grounds in the foreseeable future, not in our lifetime. I think it will take more than 100 years for Africa to be able to welcome electric cars. Our income level simply cannot make it possible because since 2022, if you check very well, you realize that the number of cars registered every new year is reducing. In 2024, how many 2024 registered cars have you seen on the road? Because the duty regime now is so crazy. You bring an average Toyota Corolla now, you are paying in excess of 60,000. So Toyota Corolla 2013, 2014 model, you're now buying it at 120,000, 1.2 billion. Old Ghana cedis. How many Ghanaians can afford that? So even second-hand cars, home-use cars, we cannot afford. And most electrical cars are brand new. So how many Africans can afford that except the rich? So I do not see the market gaining grounds to make sense for you to invest in spare parts at this moment.
Okay, thank you very much.
You are welcome.
Right. So we would want to take our last question. Amos, your hand is still up. Do you have another question, please?
Sorry, no, please.
Okay, so we'd like to take another question, the last one. That's if there's any. But then while we wait for that, that's if there's any. I'd want to go to the points quickly. Today we've been learning about protecting our money, and we need to avoid any spending. We need to track our spending as well. We also need to keep our standard of living below our earnings. We need to avoid borrowing to finance consumption. We need to also set short-term goals, seek financial advice, take calculated risk, and invest in ourselves. It's very, very important as young people that we take note of these points. Thank you very much, Dr. Paul, for this insightful presentation. So there is a link in our chat session, and it's a link to our YouTube channel for Young Investors Network. Please do subscribe to our channel. If you've not subscribed yet, you will have access to all relevant materials. All the discussions you've had has been recorded and uploaded right there. So please do subscribe if you have not. Thank you very much. So I would like to first thank God so much for this opportunity, for making this event a success, this virtual event a success. Right from Monday to today, we have been learning. We have had the student money chat and it has been very successful, all thanks to God. I'd also want to appreciate our director, our executive director, in the person of Mr. Joshua Mensah. He's the mastermind behind this initiative. Thank you